We're doing part 1, practicing ladder stitch. What you'll need is a 20-inch piece, roughly, of string that you've cut from your roll. You'll want to give it a nice stretch in either direction to get out all the kinks, and then you'll go ahead and thread it through your beading needle. Thread it so that you have about 4 or 5 inches here of tail left over. We'll get to use that later. So what you'll do is, to begin, thread 2 bugle beads onto your needle. Move them all the way down so that you have about 6 inches or so of leftover thread, and we'll use that later. This right here is bead number 1, closest to the left. Bead number 2 sits on the right. What you'll do is take your needle and you'll insert it up through bead number 1, and that's from left to right. And that stitch, it will make a complete loop that makes the 2 beads lie side by side. The second part is you're going to go down through the top of bead number 2. That secures it. So now that those 2 beads are laid side by side, you can add your 3rd bead. So you'll string that all the way down so that it's meeting your 2nd bead. Take your needle and go down through the top of the 2nd bead and pull it all the way tight. Now your thread is coming out of the bottom in the middle between beads 1 and 2. We need to get it to the outside right edge in order to start adding another bead. So you're going to go up through the bottom of the 3rd bead. You'll continue like that until all 10 beads are bound together. This is my 4th bead. String it down, go up through the 3rd bead, down through the newest bead. And with every new bead that I'm adding, I'm pulling very tight so that the beads are all lying closely side by side. We'll add a new bead. We'll go down through the bead that was before and up through the new bead. Pulling to make sure everybody is lying side by side, nice and snug. Now we're using bugle beads for this exercise because I find that it's a little bit easier to maneuver and get the rhythm of the pattern than the Miyuki Delica beads, which we'll be using for our actual earrings. So these are just to practice, but we'll be using the same stitch with our actual earrings. So now I'm going down the bead that came before and up through the new bead. Pick up another bead, up through the bead that came before and down through the new bead. Another thing I'll mention is that it's important to hold on to your piece as you're working. If you let it flop around, you'll lose sight of what is your ups and your downs and your lefts and your rights. So I like to keep it oriented so that the tail is coming out of the bottom left. I'm right-handed, so if you're left-handed, you can just reverse all of this. Keep your tail so that it's coming out of the bottom left most bead, and I'm adding beads growing from left to right. So I've added a new bead, go down the bead that came before and up the next bead. How many do we have? 1 more. Up the bead that came before and down the new bead. Now that all 10 beads are on my thread, they're all bound together, we have completed the ladder stitch practice.